Hi everyone, I'm Crystal Nichols here with a special edition of the Meter TV. I'm here with Keith Boykins, CNBC contributor,
Yes.
MSNBC commentator,
Yes.
BET columnist, and New York Times best-selling author.
Yes.
And so today you're going to discuss alternative lifestyles with students. What do you want students to take from your message?
Well, I want students to really sort of open their eyes, open their minds to just different ways that people live their lives, just to figure out ways to be happy with who they are, whoever they are, and just to create a community that's more open and tolerant for everybody. But the most important thing is I just want people to believe in themselves, regardless of who you are. It doesn't matter what your gender is, your race is, your sexual orientation is, where your background is, who your parents are, how much money you have or don't have. We all have obstacles to overcome in our lives. And the question is, how do we get to the point where we accept ourselves enough that we can believe ourselves and keep moving forward? So I just hope to be able to inspire people in some way. And I really would like to, I don't know if the format will allow me, but I would like to take questions from students and see what they have to say and what's on their minds.
That's awesome. And so what is the inspiration behind your book? What made you want to write your latest book?
Well, the latest book came as a result of, as I mentioned once before, an episode of different suicides that have been taking place in the African American community and people of color. And I felt that it was underreported by the media, and I felt it was important to sort of draw attention to this. And so the title became For Colored Boys Who've Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Still Not Enough. I think there's a lot of issues we don't talk about in our community that we need to talk about. Just in the past few weeks, we've seen 3 incidents in Washington, D.C. that raised my attention. I don't know if people know about these, but one, there was a shooter. His name was Aaron Alexis, who went into the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. and shot up a whole bunch of people, and he ended up being killed himself. And then just a week ago, we had a woman who was in a car chase outside the Washington, D.C. Capitol. She ended up being shot with her child in the back seat. And then the third episode was just a few days ago, a man set himself on fire on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. All 3 of them were African American. And I think all 3 of them were probably dealing with issues of mental health. I think there's a lot of times we don't talk about those things in our community. We need to talk about those things.
Yes, we really do. And my last question is, how did your position in the White House help you to advance the LGBT agenda?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if my position in the White House really helped me at all with that. I worked in the Clinton administration. Oddly enough, I worked there right after I graduated from law school, and I had gone to law school with President Barack Obama, who wasn't at that time the president, of course. And one of the reasons I was inspired to work for Bill Clinton is because he spoke out about progressive issues in the LGBT community, for example, lifting the ban on gays in the military. He never did that. And the odd thing is, I remember sitting in a meeting once, and I'll probably share this later, but I remember sitting in a meeting once with the president in the White House, and someone asked him what he thought would be his legacy in history. And he mentioned 2 things. One was healthcare reform, and the other was lifting the ban on gays in the military. He did neither of those things. But the irony is that the person who did do it was my law school classmate, Barack Obama. So I think being in the White House helped to give me a position where I could see the change that wasn't able to happen then and see how that change is starting to happen right now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for tuning in to the Meter TV. Tune in later. Bye.